Hello and welcome to another video from my random hobbies, and today we're going to be talking about what to expect in a typical day of driving a HGV. So let's get into it. So I know that with recent articles in the press, on the news, that people have shown an interest in becoming a HGV driver themselves, because we're told there's a shortage of drivers, etc. And that's a different matter for debate in another video, perhaps. But going into these things, there may be a sort of a romanticized version of what it entails to be a driver. That you're there by yourself, you're trucking and seeing the scenery around the country, and life is good. And that can be true. But I think it's also important to sort of understand the different types of day you might expect. So that's really the purpose of the video. And I would say there are three probable types of day that you would expect. There's what I would call the normal day, average day, the dream day, and then probably the day from hell, or the day where everything just seems to not quite go right. So we'll talk about the normal day first, and then we'll sort of look at the sort of swing from the normal day, good in a good side, and in a bad way perhaps as well. Now I'm talking from my experience, partly as a driver, but also as an ops manager, and seeing how drivers' days have gone from start to finish. So I have got a good idea of the sorts of things that are going on, and different types of work as well. So I would say the normal day, you get up, you go to work. You're expecting probably in a normal day to do somewhere between, I would suggest, sort of 8 to 12 hours would probably be a normal day's driving, depending on the type of driving you're doing. You can drive, as you know from some of my previous videos, for 9 hours in a day, so that's driving time, and that can be extended to 10 hours a couple of times a week. You can also only work a maximum of 15 hours work time directive in a day. So realistically, 15 hours is the max. And within that sort of 15 hours, you should only be doing 10 hours driving max twice a week, of course, or 9 hours driving in a day. So you, as I say, a normal day, you're probably expecting to go somewhere between 8 and 12 hours, I would think. You would get to the yard, you would do your vehicle checks, you would hopefully know by that point what load you're taking or what job run you're doing, and then you set off. And you go and collect or drop off, depending on whether you're starting loaded. And in that time frame of collection or drop off, there'll be a period of waiting, and that is normal. And I think some people go in thinking they'll turn up somewhere 10 minutes, half an hour, and they'll be off again, and that's fine. It's just not like that in reality. In reality, you get somewhere, and if they're ready for you, great, they'll start loading. But loading can take a while. Unloading can take a while, depending on where they want the goods in the warehouse or where they're coming from in the warehouse, and making sure that they've got the right goods as well. So that can take a little bit of time. So expect a little bit of waiting in a normal day. And that goes for both drop-offs and collections as well. I would estimate on average you're probably, on a normal day, somewhere between half an hour to an hour and a half waiting time, depending on the type of job you're doing. So there you can see how a 9 hour day, 9 hour driving day can extend by an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You can see how the sort of up to the 12-hour mark can increase quite easily. And if you're doing multi-drops, of course, you're not going to be traveling the same distance perhaps, but you are going to be doing a lot of these stops, starts, unloading, loading, which has an impact on time. So that's what a normal sort of day would look like. And again, no sort of mechanical issues or anything to worry about. The dream day is where you turn up, you know you've got a particular job, and perhaps the job has been shortened. Maybe you've got one less run or a couple of less drop-offs to do or something like that. So there's a good start to your day already. You've got no problems with your vehicle when you do your vehicle checks. And then at each location you go to, a dream day would be where you're literally on the bay straight away, because sometimes you have to wait for a bay. So you might turn up somewhere and not actually even get onto where you're loading or collecting for an hour or so. So a dream day, you get there, they tell you which bay to go on, you go onto the bay, and then they immediately start loading and unloading, depending obviously on what you're doing at that point. And then within 20 minutes, half an hour, you're loaded, you're unloaded, paperwork signed, and away you go. And you're off to the next one. And everything happens in a timely fashion, and it just works. And so you're home easily, probably within the 8 to 10 hours on a day, and you're feeling pretty good about it. A disastrous day is one of those days where just things seem to not go your way. And again, this is haulage. This is what happens when you drive for a living, and it's surprisingly common. You can't run a vehicle for 8-10 hours a day. Some people are running vehicles for 20 odd hours a day if they're working nights and days as well. You can't run vehicles like that for that period of time without there being problems, whether that's worn tires or tires that burst, you have a blowout. So those are things that can occur. And every time something like that happens and you've got to wait for a tire to be replaced, if there's no spare units to take, you're waiting 60 minutes, an hour. 60 minutes to, 60 minutes is an hour. 60 minutes to 90 minutes, maybe even longer, depending on where you are, to get someone out to sort you out with a new tire. So that adds to your day. Then you might get to a location, and as I said previously, you get there and there's no bays free. And I've had drivers sitting, waiting just to get on a bay. That's where they load and unload you. Sitting and waiting for maybe 2 or 3 hours before they even get given a bay. And that's with a timed delivery slot or collection slot. So they've arrived at the time they're supposed to, and there's still a wait and a delay. And then they get on the bay, and there's a further 1, 2, 3 hours. So you can see how, what should have been maybe an 8-9 hour day, suddenly has become a 15-hour day. And it's frustrating. It's not hard and physically hard, because you're sat in a vehicle, you're just sat waiting around, but it's that boredom factor. It's the fact that you want to be doing things that really kicks in. Now, some people, this suits perfectly, because they'll get to sleep, and depending on the conditions of pay, you're being paid by the hour, and that includes sitting waiting on bays and things, then great. And for some people that's fantastic. For others, it's just frustrating. They want to do the job, they want to go home and see their family. So there are 3 different types of day, really, where things can go well, really well, and you get finished early and there's no problems, or the other extreme is that everything seems to go against you. And tiredness and fatigue also has an impact on some of the decisions you make as a driver as well. And this is why driving is sort of a skilled job. And I know people go, oh, it's just driving. You've got to be alert. You've got to be awake. You are driving a multi-ton vehicle that, were it to be in a collision with a much smaller vehicle or person, or it can cause significant harm or even death, dare I say. But also you get fatigued, and things that perhaps you would have normally remembered to do, you forget. Simple things like taking the number plate off a trailer when you swap it. And yeah, I've done that. Okay, I've left a site with the number plate still on the trailer that I've uncoupled from. Things like not uncoupling an electrical connection between the unit and the trailer, and then you pull away and bing, you snap the line, or you snap the air hose if you left the air hose attached. And these things can then lead to delays and costs, and dropping a trailer to its knees. That's a phrase that you might have heard. When you drop a trailer, when you uncouple from a trailer, you wind the legs down so that it stands upright and doesn't sort of fall forward. Obviously, if you forget to do that and then you pull the truck out from underneath the trailer, it has a chance of doing that, and getting that back upright can again incur costs and time, damage the trailer, damage the vehicle, depending on how you pull out, etc. So there's lots of things that can have an impact because you're tired or because you're not thinking straight. So and I don't mean to scare people off, because those days are less so than a normal day. A normal day means that that's going to happen more often than not. But they do happen. Things do happen. If you're in any job, there are going to be negative things happening if you do it long enough. So, whether you're working as a waitress and you drop a glass or smash something, it's just the way it goes. In fact, I remember working as a waiter at one point and spilt gravy in a customer's lap. It happens. Accidents will occur. So, don't be thinking that I'm trying to put people off. I'm not, because I personally find the driving aspect really quite relaxing. I'm on my own and I've got my own thoughts. No one's there bothering me or pestering me or chasing me for anything. Obviously, the transport operations people might be, wondering where I am, but I'm there on my own. I'm my own boss, if you like, during that shift. So that's great. And I actually really enjoy the days where I am driving. So please don't sort of take any of what I've said as a negative. It's just giving you a flavour of what could occur during a driving day. So anyway, I hope that was of some interest to some of you. Those of you who are old hats will know all about this anyway. And those of you who are sort of thinking of coming into the industry, don't let it put you off that there are negative things. There's a lot of positives as well. So I hope you enjoy it, and good luck with your journey as well. Anyway, there we go. Please do like, please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon for another video. Take care for now. Bye-bye.